Talking to me?
No,
Just turn my hearing aids up.
No.
What's that?
no, not, but we're about to go live in a minute because now it's 6.
So,
Brian,
good evening. We're gonna start the Board of Selectmen meeting. First, we're gonna do the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we'll have the citizens' comments. And approval of minutes for May 12th and the approval of minutes for June 3rd.
I had the opportunity to go through both as well as the video form, and I would motion to approve both May 12th and June 3rd. And
Third or June 9th?
June 3rd is both on June. May 12th.
May.
June 3rd.
June 3rd.
Yes. I
Is
second.
that
Yes.
All in favor?
I
I was like, what I screwed.
Yep.
Okay. Do the addition to the agenda, so none. Correspondence and announcements. The upcoming town meeting regarding Old Econ Way, the water study, and the crack filling of the roads on Shetucket and James will be on July 28th at 7? 6 o'clock.
and it's here.
That's it. We'll get out something and they have one put it on the board too, so. Public Works report, they're going to the, they're the ones that are getting the crack filling guys over, so they're doing that, so. The local traffic authority. Yes, today we contacted the Connecticut State Police with all the ripping out on roads and all that and the speeding. I gotta stop looking at that and we gotta bring that down because it's getting really bad. So
Which roads?
it's gonna be mostly state roads, but they are gonna do some tough roads.
No, sorry, let me rephrase, I wasn't clear. Which roads have we seen lots of burnouts on?
165, 49 north is really bad
Still was found.
and south. So that, I mean, it's bad. It's,
We can probably reach out to Len Bronson,
Oh, for his cameras.
because he has cameras right there at the end of,
And there was some right near there.
yeah, exactly.
okay.
So,
I've talked with him a couple of times, so I'll reach out to him.
okay,
We can go.
maybe able to provide some video, which we can turn over to Stades.
Somebody had some video of Griswold, and I would, it's probably the same people.
Just don't want anybody to get hurt or killed or go into a house or, you know, stuff like that, so.
We have enough accidents right there, so.
Yeah.
Okay. The finance report. We have Crystal here, Crystal sign.
Okay, so the first thing I wanted to point out, I left it off my notes, but I wanted to mention, I know there's been notices on Facebook about it. The up-to-date reports for unaudited, so you'll notice that the top of your report says that it's as of April 31st. Unaudited, like I say, that'd be April 30th since April 31st doesn't exist. Unaudited, so this is the report up to now, and it will be posted on the website the morning of the Board of Selectmen meeting. So if someone is watching the Board of Selectmen meeting from home, they can view the financial reports. And so that can be accessed either if you go to the website and click on the departments and click on Finance Department. You'll see that the monthly finance reports are there. And you can also, if you click on I want to, there's a quick link called I want to. If you hover over that, you'll also see a quick link to monthly finance reports. So you can access those there. So I did some sort of preliminary estimates closing out the fiscal year. It looks like we will return between 8 and 10% of the budget back to the unassigned balance. These funds are used to not only build a reserve for unanticipated emergencies, but they're also used to fund the capital projects for fiscal year 27. And our goal obviously is always to keep the unassigned balance within 8 and 12% of the budget for that budget year. And it looks like we'll land right about 10% again, which is really the middle of the road where we want to be. Anyone paying attention will notice that the line 59200 municipal grants is hardly expended at all. And I just want to explain for anyone who's looking at that, that's the account we take the road work out of. And so the road work that's happening this month will be expended from that account. Forge Hill Bridge has begun. We've begun to receive and pay invoices, and we are submitting those invoices through the Dime platform. We're hoping that that's going to mean more streamlined, faster reimbursement process. And probably already been mentioned, but I just added it to my report. The town budgets passed successfully on 5/26. Those reports are correct on the website. And we're beginning to close out our financial records in preparation for the audit, which is the preliminaries next week, and to transition into fiscal year 27.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any old business? Okay, new business. Got this, discussion on ClearGov. Let's say, I was looking at over, I'm not sure I'm on with this. So. I don't know what you guys are thinking.
What's the cost on it?
The cost is, what's the cost?
10,000 per year.
10,000 per
The
year.
report that you have lists the setup cost and the first year. So we would have to
So-
pay it again.
So,
So we paid what was the?
We've paid that already,
What was it for?
8,000.
So we only paid already.
We've paid 18,000 so far.
I think that is,
What's that?
We haven't used it.
They never used it.
so. I mean, we're a small town. And I don't know if that's. I'm wondering if what she puts out every month will be good enough, is that?
Well, we put a couple of things on there, right, already. That you put up on like the real time expenses.
You're talking about on our website?
Yes.
Yes, so when I began preparing reports at the end of the year, I've put up everything that I've created so far. So someone could go back and track this fiscal year. I am also sort of, because when the new budget went up, the old budget came down. So I'm trying to create a place where residents could view previous budgets if they wanted to see like budget timelines and things like that. And also I want them to be able to access the audit. Anyone could come into the library or to the town hall and see the audit, but we have a digital copy of the audit so that people could see the audit itself.
Well, I think in response to some of the questions that we got at the budget meeting, right, is that. And the lines that we have where last year's budget was, this year's budget is. And, you know, where the expenses are falling. And the real time spending. Is, I think, what I got out of what a couple of those gentlemen were asking for. And if that's something that we can put together, similar to what you've got here. Where, cause it's got year-to-date fiscal, so that's what we've spent so far, correct?
Yep.
and then the budget, what's in the budget.
Yep.
Those two things right there, I think that if we can run those through the year, and that's something that we can line up to all of those line items that we do on the budget, I think that's all they're looking for.
That's what that would,
Yeah, well, and part of the thing that I didn't realize at the budget meeting that was very helpfully brought up. I think because I'm aware of where the expenses are all the time, I didn't catch this. When you looked at the columns, there wasn't an actual column. It was budget year, budget year, budget year. And it was missing the actual expenditures. And so it was sort of relying on residents to have, listen to the finance report at the last Board of Selectmen's meeting, when really that information should be in their hands when they're making that decision.
Right.
So that is one change for next year's budget season. I'll make sure that the actuals for the previous 2 years are in there.
Okay.
so,
I mean,
I see no problem with not going ahead with going in for ClearGov right now. The big advantage for ClearGov is. I'm going to be very clear, I'm not suggesting that you're going to do anything inappropriate. But ClearGov is, it's validated data. Spreadsheets are not
Yeah.
considered validated data. Spreadsheets can be tweaked,
yes,
can be updated constantly.
right,
And ClearGov is something that gives us something that's much more bulletproof in terms of transparency and saying, these are the numbers, we can't fudge these numbers, nothing can be changed. And that's part of the discussion that we had on the previous board about going forward with it.
with it.
Yeah, so I think it's something that we still need to do at some point in the future, even if we don't go any further right now.
Were you part of the process in choosing ClearGov? Are there other companies where we can save money?
So
My understanding was that ClearGov is more suited towards larger municipalities.
there isn't anything for small municipalities in that product space, is the problem. And so ClearGov was basically ClearGov or nothing.
Yeah.
And so it was, because Crystal, as you pointed out, what we had signed up for was not all of the modules.
Yeah.
We had only signed up for a couple of the modules, because it was going to be,
Hundreds of, yeah,
let's test this out.
yeah,
And then if we like what we see, go forward. But again, if we can save that money right now by not going forward with ClearGov. And Crystal, what you're doing gives the constituents what they're looking for. This is something we can put down as just, hey, let's look at this again, next year or the year after. Just put it on let's review it where we're at after a year.
let's go with you and see how that goes. I think I personally think it'll be fine.
should we see if we can negotiate them down?
What-
I'm just saying, because that's $8,000 out the door. $18,000 go on. with
That's
the
going
job.
down, that's two years, we're done with that, so we have to re-up. It's gonna be another 10, so we're
For setup, you can just roll over the annual fee
It's-
for it.
$10,000 for the next 2 years, right?
Yeah, so the $18,000 we've already paid is from their bookkeeping standard. Past services, so the $8,000 setup, they already did the setup.
Right,
And then despite the fact that we didn't use their services this year, because it was set up, we had a subscription. It would be kind of like you signed up for Apple Music but didn't listen to it.
Right,
Yeah, so at this point, I reached out to the company to find out what is our contractual obligation right now. Do we still have time to cancel before fiscal year 27? And the response I got back was that the individual I have only been working with for a few months, his last day is on Friday, and he's passing me on to another person. So I'm still waiting to hear back from that other person as to what we can do about it.
is it a salesperson? The salesperson.
No, they're like account managers.
Yeah, the salesperson is the one that's gonna be able to deal with. Find out who the initial person was that came in here. And set up an account manager to handle our account, because it's really the salespeople that can work with us. And like, as many different permitting softwares that there are out there, and applicant tracking systems that there are out there for human resources. they all have room within there. And if ClearGov is really the only thing out there, then it would behoove them to have something that was suited to a smaller town. And we could help facilitate that process. And not, if we decide to go back to them, not pay an $8,000 setup fee. I'd be happy to have that conversation with them.
Sounds good.
What's the deadline to renew?
That's what I'm saying, I don't know. I reached out to them and I haven't heard back. So obviously I'll be calling them.
The information, and I will do that tomorrow.
We'll do,
Yeah.
So we'll bring this up at the next meeting.
Yeah, we'll carry it over, just because people lose $8,000 to turn around and do it all over again. When we could be, poster child for small communities that you can work.
All right, we'll talk, we'll put it on the active agenda,
Okay,
so we'll come back to this.
Unless you feel like it's a waste of time.
well, we at least need to get an answer on,
When,
canceling the contract.
yeah,
yeah, we don't wanna pay another $10,000,
no. Is it 10,000 for 1 year or 2 years?
1 year.
1 year.
And I think at the town budget meeting, the questions we got and the answer that the residents got was good enough, and that was what we're talking about right here, what I'm on board with Bristol doing this. So, but we will bring it up at the next meeting. We'll talk to them.
I feel like Crystal's perfectly capable of doing it as well, but I also appreciate what Skip brought into it, being a part of the initial conversation, doing it of oversight.
Yeah.
That is a
Because
big thing in government.
They suck up our data,
Yeah,
directly from our accounts, and so there is no manipulation of data.
Right.
They don't,
So
Skip,
they're-
they don't. I have to send them the information.
Well,
That was part of the problem, is that when I talked to, so I called over to Preston, because Preston does use it. Their website hasn't been updated since 2024. They're using it only as a budget planning tool. And when I talked to the treasurer and the finance director in Preston, one of their main problems with it, because they've been working with it since like 2022 maybe, is that all of the information on ClearGov that's actually in their portal, they have to manually send. So their finance director hired someone as a temporary person to input all of that information when they were doing their setup, because that piece of it was beyond the scope of what she could do in her workday. And so all of the updates have to be manually sent to them, and it isn't even like I can go in and update the information. I have to send them the information and then they update it. And if there's a problem, I have to reach out to them again. That's wrong. You have to correct it or whatever. And so it just sounded, from what Preston said, like it's kind of a clunky system in terms of that. But I mean, I don't have any personal experience.
But they're using it differently, right? They're using it basically just for budget.
They're just using it to develop their budgets. If you go to the Preston ClearGov site, the information that's up there is very generic and it's from 2024. So they're not updating it in real time either. And so what you were talking about needing for Voluntown, like a real time, reporting of our finances, it doesn't sound like,
Well,
they do, it's additional.
but it's still sending, we're still sending the
Yeah.
information.
First, we'll put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
And I just don't want it, I just don't want them to take that grant up.
No.
This is a time thing, so you gotta find out.
I'll get the information before I leave on whatever you have in.
Well, so Sue's got this information for tomorrow.
Yep.
We do not want to move forward with ClearGov for FY 27. So if they're saying, are you canceling? The answer is yes, we are not renewing, we're canceling. Like when you talk to them.
Yes.
Yes, we're canceling. Sorry, I reversed my sentence there, sorry. We are not renewing. That
But if
makes
the
sense.
renewal date isn't at all. Cause I feel like they did this right before they left. That's what I mean, and we have time to set.
It's next week that we don't have to touch them.
Right. For me to come back and say we're not.
Right.
Or to send, they probably want something in writing that you can send it. But if it, I mean, if it's like in 2 days, I'm gonna say, yeah, no, we're not gonna do it. But if it's August, because it feels like this was something that was done right before Julie left.
It was set up almost a year before Julie left, though. That's what I'm saying. She worked on it for 10 months and couldn't get it up and running. They signed the contract November of 2024. And she worked on it until she turned over to me. And it just sounded, from what she said, it just sounded like all of that was just getting the chart of accounts set up, not even. Like it's mapped at this point, but there isn't even any financial.
Well, let me see what I can do on it. It's, I know, you know, some. I'll leave this.
Yep.
I'll get the renewal date anyway, if it's like before we have our next meeting, we'll.
But this is easier than that. This gets the point out, this gets, all right, the next one, for new business is releasing of bond at 101 North Shore. You guys familiar with that?
No,
Is this for driveway?
Yeah.
Driveway permit?
So they've been going back and forth on this, back and forth on this. So between Public Works, Rick, and was he architect or whatever, John Police. We think it just needs to go back the way it was, and with a little bit of reconstruction. So I sent the building inspector there. And they had the architect there, and that was the way that it's gonna work.
Mhm.
So, all right, I thought-
No,
Like our question.
no, no.
So is there work still to be done?
Yeah.
The bond was
yes.
really so.
Right.
Okay,
So when work is done and they.
well, he's not, no, we are doing the one, we have to fill that back in. So we can release his bond, but we have to.
Okay, so
we
it's
have
not us to do
it's
the
our-
work. Okay, got it.
And I already talked to Public Works, they know what they gotta do and. So, I mean, that's a tricky area over there. And. Yes,
Was it something we're done?
it's just, the wires got crossed. Between everybody.
Okay.
So between everybody. Even me, because I went there and I was like, all right, yeah, okay, yes. And then I talked to the building inspector. And I talked to the architect, and I said, no, I was wrong. But, and then we all got together and everything, we agreed that this is the way it goes.
So this drives,
There's,
that look right?
yeah. There's no catch basins over there or nothing.
Yeah,
So it's a tough area.
okay. I make a motion that we release the bond for 101 North Shore Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the next three are reappointment of Anna Ingraham to the Elderly Commission, Mary Sullivan to the Elderly Commission, and Tracy Owens to the Elderly Commission.
I make a motion to appoint Diana, Mary, and Tracy, reappoint them to the Elderly Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Other business, suggestions for next meeting, we're gonna, we're gonna put that on the agenda. Either way, we will tell everybody how we made out.
Okay.
So. Maybe I came up with names.
No. Actually, I have a question, it's not an agenda item, just a question.
Yep.
So we've got another, actually, the town meeting on July 28th is gonna be here.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to coordinate with the school's IT author
Okay,
about setting up for the next thing that we do here.
Okay,
I wanna test stuff out now while it's fresh in my memory, rather than 2 days before the
Wait for
the next town meeting, it's like, crap, I
I
didn't.
got an answer. So I went out and had lunch with Scott, the superintendent. He's getting a new system in there. That's technical. That was on. Thank you for doing it, but. So.
Okay, so the show's gonna take action.
Show's gonna take action, so.
Okay.
So,
Once they've got that in place, I wanna make sure that we get tested out so that we can operate it.
I can, I'll tell Scott when it comes in, when you can walk in, check it out, so. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Go on ahead.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Favor?
Okay.
aye.
Thank you. Good night.